Hey everyone, welcome back to another podcast recording with the Crypto Mavericks. Super excited to have on Ryan Singer today. Ryan, the CEO of Vex.trade and some other previous crypto companies. Ryan, thank you for joining us.
Yeah, glad to be here.
Before we get into Vex.trade, tell us, you told me before we start recording, it's been quite a long journey for you in the space. Tell us about how you came up here and how you started Vex.trade.
Yeah, so I read about Bitcoin on Slashdot in 2011 and got super excited. And so I tried to do a mining venture, which didn't work out. And then I tried to do a Bitcoin exchange that famously was called Trade Hill. It was one of the first institutional focused Bitcoin exchanges. And that was in 2012 and 2013. I've been full time in the Bitcoin and cryptocurrency space ever since. What I'm working on now is focused on taking every venture funded company out there and tokenizing them so that the people who want to invest can invest, the people who want to divest can divest, and you get the same access to them that you're used to with cryptocurrencies and public stocks.
Yeah, I think that's why a lot of people turn to crypto. A lot of these private markets were unavailable. But now they seem to be coming on board with the new administration. Tell us how it's been. It's almost been a year now, right? Since January, since
Yeah.
the new administration's come in. It's felt like probably 10 years. Just to say it's a year, it's mind-boggling. It seems like a lot of these opportunities are, starting to become available, although we haven't seen much yet. Tell us your thoughts about that.
Well, it's just shocking to me the sea change in dealing with the financial regulators before the new administration and after. And you see it, you do see it on the markets, right? You see now people are talking about these treasury companies and exchange traded products and exchange traded funds, and financial institutions are getting involved in cryptocurrency, both doing custody and doing lending. All of these things just would have been completely unacceptable to even talk about in public 18 months ago.
Yeah, I was very mum when people asked me what I did for a living and my investments. I was just very quiet. Oh, index funds and whatnot. But yeah, to your point, like, hopefully it comes into our 401ks rather soon. And we're seeing a lot of companies starting to lead this charge also, right? Robinhood notably has offered SpaceX through, a blockchain service. And then there's other companies like Republic looking to do the same. Tell us about Vex and how that may differ.
Yeah, so when you look at kind of private market stuff and especially tokenization of it, traditionally the approach has been to have a very small number of offerings that are the very biggest, most sexy offerings, right? Everyone's trying to get into OpenAI or
Yeah.
SpaceX or Stripe. We're taking kind of a different approach. There are tens of thousands of venture funded startups out there working on everything that you can imagine. And every single one of them has early angel investors and employees that want out. And every single one of them has friends and fans working in the industry that want in. So, what we're going to do is we're going to auction funds where the purpose of the fund is to invest, is to buy 1% of the targeted startup. We're going to do hundreds of them. So the goal is to take every company that's raised more than $50 million, price it with an auction for 1%, then go out there and get the liquidity using our broker dealer, get the stock into the fund, and then tokenize the fund and let it trade every day.
Nice. That's something that I know and love, indexing, which is just, I'm not saying you're doing that, but it just spreads the risk a little bit better than just picking everything in one basket. I was doing that the other day. I was on Hive looking to buy like exactly what you mentioned, employees that want to have an early exit of OpenAI, or actually it was SpaceX I was looking at specifically. They're trading at double their recent raise. So yeah, a lot of people don't understand private markets, myself including. How does one kind of just make sure that they're getting the right opportunities?
Yeah, that's why we're doing the auction. Because you look at the private companies and there are always three prices. There's the foreign A price that they tell the IRS, and that's what they're using to price the equity compensation for employees. Then, usually higher than that, there's the last round price, which is the last price they raised at, which is probably the closest to the real number. And then there's the next round price that the CEO is trying to raise at, that we will only ever find out if he's successful, and most of these fundraisers fall through. But once you tokenize them, once you make them trade every day, all of that collapses into one price, which is just the last trade, just like a public stock.
I see. So is it the is it tracking the price or is it actually holding the equities within it? I know there's a lot of different vehicles.
Yeah. So our vehicle that we're doing is very standard for making it easier to transfer private stock, which is we're doing a special purpose vehicle, which is a fund that only holds one stock.
Oh, okay. Awesome. Uh, we heard some big news the other day. One of the a big opportunity I would like to get some dibs on. Tether raising at a $500 billion valuation, which just boggled my mind. I'm in San Francisco, and OpenAI is close to the same valuation, and it's just I wouldn't even say it's mind boggling because Tether themselves has revenue of close to 20 billion a year. I'm surprised they're even trying to raise money.
Mhm. Well, when you have a big company like that, raising money is not just about getting kind of capex to expand. It's also about bringing your partners onto the cap table
Hmm.
and aligning interests for the business. And often it's about preparing for an IPO. And I have no inside information about Tether, even though I know the founders. But I'd imagine that it's some combination of those two. It's both bringing their partners onto the cap table and aligning their business, and also it's preparing for some sort of public offering, I think.
I see. I see that you had it in your past a blockchain. What chain will Vex be using, or is it multi-chain?
Yeah, we're focused on Ethereum and Solana because, frankly, that's where the trading volume is.
Yeah, that is where a lot of volume is, and we hope you guys uh, provide your next opportunity soon. Any inklings of when opportunities will be open next on Vex?
So we're going to start with a private beta. So if people want to get involved with it, they just sign up on the website Vex.trade. Uh, when it does get publicly announced and talked about with the press, it'll be because we had our first successful auctions that priced targeted companies, and we got the shares and we're ready to tokenize them. So there will probably be dozens of opportunities to bid before the public announcement.
Yeah, tell us about the auction mechanism because that was very interesting.
Yeah. So every single one of our funds is going to be a simple fund with 1 million units available. And that reason for that fund's existence is to buy 1% of the targeted startup. So we get away from trying to figure out how many shares are out there, price per share, stuff like that. We don't worry about that during the auction. We just bid for the number of units you want out of that million. And the minimum bid is 1,000 units at $1 each. So a minimum of $1,000. And if that auction raises more than $1 million, valuing the targeted company over 100 million, then we will go out there and we will try to buy that stock at that price. And if we succeed, the fund will get tokenized. And if we fail, the users will get full refunds with no fees.
Interesting. Yeah, I haven't seen that in the works before. I remember there was a couple of DeFi, not DeFi protocols, some protocols looking to, create funds of this nature. Is there a lockup period? Is it does that only happen like liquidation event? And tell us about exchanging prior to those types of events, if
Yeah.
possible.
So these funds are being issued according to U.S. regulations. So if you're an American person and you invest in the auction, then there's a 1 year lockup period from the day the auction closes. And then you'll get tokens. If you're not an American citizen, you're investing in the auction, then you'll get tokens as soon as we acquire the stock, which is not necessarily right after the auction closes, because a lot of these companies have right of first refusal processes and stuff like that. So it could take a few months.
Hmm. Interesting. Okay. Yeah, there's just so many opportunities. It's just hard to wade through many of
Yeah.
them. And yeah, Vex is at the forefront helping us, you guys helping us lead this charge. And hopefully a lot of these opportunities become available to the average person and education on top of that. Like for people like myself, we love to dive into the fringe areas of the crypto world. And I think that's why there's so much people speculating on meme coins, right? They don't have access to real opportunities. So they go into the fringes. Not like, these companies don't, these tokens don't have some real use cases for some of them. But yeah, tell us about pivoting real quickly, just the overall markets, right? I know we're closing Q4. October is usually a thing. Just near term, everyone has a macro look on crypto and kind of understands that it's going to do big things. But what's kind of the near term that we're seeing?
Well, I think the thing about Bitcoin is it trades like a large cap stock, except for when it doesn't. You know, so often it tracks macro. You see good big trading activity every time the Fed opens their mouth. It kind of tracks, especially like Tesla and the other big growth tech things. People think of it as a tech thing, except for sometimes you get big corporate treasuries buying Bitcoin not as a market play, but because they need it to move money around the world, and they're uncomfortable with the banking system and how politicized it gets and things like that. Sometimes you get countries doing that. So in the case where you get large allocators allocating in for a non-price related reason or allocating out for a non-price related reason, Bitcoin can break out and go, 5, 10, 20, sometimes 30% up or down because of something completely unrelated to what the markets are doing, just because a large allocator is building a position or winding one down, often for political risk or banking risk reasons.
I see. Yeah, yeah. We're just trying to find some rhyme to the reason of recent news. But to your point, it's just noise, right? When we, look at these kind of events, right, from countries, states, stats, that's a new thing. Um, Besides Bitcoin, is there any sectors that either you're focusing on or you're very interested in Vex within the Vex ecosystem?
Yeah, so Vex is focused on a few sectors. We focus on fintech, including cryptocurrency, but we also focus on biotech, AI, and B2B SaaS. As a personal investor, I've been doing a lot of my investing with my wife in early stage biotech. This is what her background is. She studied AI for biotech, and she built out the AI arm at Altos Labs, and so that's been a big focus of our angel investment. We're actually starting, maybe, hopefully, to put together a new fund. We're calling it Brave New Fund, and it's going to focus entirely on early stage biotech. It's been very interesting looking at these deals because I would have expected that my competition would be, other biotech funds and maybe pharma companies.
Hmm.
But for the really cutting edge stuff at the seed stage, everyone I'm seeing, I know from pre 2017 crypto. I'm talking
Wow.
about Change founders. I'm talking about DeFi protocol founders. I'm talking about like Ethereum co-founders. Every single person who are writing seed stage, pre-seed, and even pre-A checks in early stage biotech, and I'm talking like the really cool stuff, like cellular reprogramming, growing organs, custom tailored to your body, iPSC banking, so that you can have stem cells that are biological match available to hospitals at the drop of a button. Like all of these extremely early stage, extremely exciting opportunities. The people across the table are all Bitcoin and Ethereum people.
Wow. And is that entangled with blockchain in any way, or is that completely just biotech by itself?
I think it's just a whole new generation of rich people that believe in the future and grew up reading science fiction.
Gotcha. Yeah, because there was a brief spotlight on DeSci, but of course, biotech we know is huge here in the Bay. There's like Genentech. There's just such huge companies. So I know innovations coming with AI helping. I was just curious if blockchain was involved in any way. I know it was for a second, and it kind of just simmered away.
Yeah, I think for the most part, it's just involved as a source of funds for the truly innovative investors.
Okay. Awesome. So Vex is not only focused on crypto native startups; it's also startups of all kinds
Yeah, so
in private markets.
the goal is to take every single venture funded startup that's raised more than $50 million, tokenize them, make them trade every day, and offer financial products in the back of that from the public markets playbook.
Thanks for the clarification. For some reason, because I'm in the space 24/7, I was just thought, oh, it's just crypto company has raised 50 million. Because you say 50 million in crypto firm, that happens like 10 times a day, right? And it just all
Exactly.
goes by the wayside. But yeah, actual private firms is something that I'm personally very interested in, and a lot of people are because they've been outside looking in, right? So that's exciting to see. You mentioned you knew the founders of Tether, and just curious because this was recent news. One of the co-founders of Tether has just launched a new stable, and use of stable coins is something that is something not new, right? But they're having a new sort of wave with this new administration, and we're seeing like 20, 30 of them. It's seemingly every company in the Fortune 500, in the at least amongst the fangs, possibly will have a stable coin. What's going on with stables?
Mhm. Honestly, I saw yesterday that Cloudflare even released their own stable. I think that now that there's regulatory clarity with the Clarity Act, not the Clarity Act, that's the market structure one. It was the Genius Act.
Genius.
Now that the Genius Act is passed and everybody knows what it is to issue a stablecoin, nobody's afraid anymore. And it's simply better technology than credit cards for interacting with computers. And so now everybody who's got a popular API has an incentive to either issue their own stable if they have a strong enough relationship with customers and they want the float, or partner with USDC or Tether to be able to take stables into their API.
Yeah, it makes sense for a company to do so. Makes sense for America too, since the collateral is in treasuries, and that's a good segue to just macroeconomics. How are we looking? Rate cuts. Everyone was bullish. Now it became bearish. Job reports came out yesterday, crashed, dipped the market a little bit. I saw your report on a Reddit about the Big Mac index. Tell us about what's happening.
Yeah, I think everybody is just a little bit frustrated, right? So I tend to think about macro in terms of years and decades instead of quarters and prints. But when you look at the Big Mac index, everybody looks at that as a way to price currencies for because they're going to go on vacation, right? It's considered the best measure of purchasing power parity. But when you apply the Big Mac index to GDP numbers, the pattern you see is not pretty, right? The number of kind of Big Macs that are in GDP per capita, if you're to measure GDP per capita by Big Macs, it peaked in the year 2000. When measured in any real broad basket that involves different agricultural goods and rent and labor, and it was growth in the century, and the 21st century just has not. And we play games with the currency that, but what we see when we play those games is most of that currency just ends up in the market. We see huge multiples on all of these companies, and we don't actually see an increase in quality of life. Like if you look at the price of a meal in terms of how many of those meals you could buy with your salary, when you look at the rent for the place you're living, when you look at the car that you're driving, we're just not materially better off than we were 20 years ago. And that is terrifying. And I think it's a big part of the problem with fiat in general. And it's a big part of the problem with banking in general. And it's a big reason that people are very, very excited about Bitcoin.
Yeah, I've never been more excited about Bitcoin personally. I'm also excited about you mentioned AI in the past when you talk about your investments. How do you see AI's effect on crypto overall or the economy overall? A lot of people they can't look past 2030. They can't see a clear vision because of what AI is going to become. What's your thoughts on it?
Well, I use AI a lot in my work. And what I found in using AI is on any topic in which I'm sophisticated and I know what I'm doing, the AI is dumber than me. But it's dumber than me a lot faster than me. And so AI can't replace, my lawyer. AI can't replace my doctor. AI can't replace my software engineer. But AI can replace the junior lawyer that helps my lawyer with drafting. It can replace the research assistant that's helping the doctor look up the various test results and what they mean and stuff like that. It can replace the junior software engineer that pairs with the senior software engineer to up their productivity. And so, given that, I think what you're seeing, and you see this like everywhere, you see this in the collapse of Seattle, honestly. Look at how many people Amazon and Microsoft are laying off. It's mostly because they've asked everybody, start using AI when you're drafting documents, start using AI when you're writing code. And we're just seeing structurally, we don't need as many people early career anymore. And one sophisticated senior person can do the work of 4 or 5 people 10 years ago.
Yeah, I've been using AI personally, paid version, not too long now, maybe like 5, 6 months. I wanted to use the free version, but personally in crypto, I've used AI this quarter more than I've ever have. I've deployed capital with AI agents and they utilize DeFi for me. You know, the looping, the borrowing, the lending. Coinbase just announced lending through Morpho with 10% yields. It's just, I'm not sure if I have the vision and just see it ahead of everyone else. It just, what does that do to, I guess, money overall, right? If we're seeing these high yields, we're going to see an influx tsunami from traditional finance into, the likes of Coinbase. I don't think so, because my banks now, SoFi is like, and Robinhood, they're all kind of leading the way, allowing people to, get into these earlier opportunities, getting bigger yields. What's going to happen to these, older financial firms, these old guards, if they don't get involved, right? I know there's a lot of questions in there, but I'm just seeing, yeah, it's just so much use of AI agents. I'm actually excited for it.
So there were 3 questions I heard in there. So I'll split
Yeah.
them up and touch all 3. One is, what does it mean for markets when everybody's trading with AI agents instead of just our limit orders? The second is, how does it change things as traditional institutions start plugging into crypto markets and people get to access crypto investments who previously weren't necessarily sophisticated with wallets and DeFi?
Yeah.
And the third is why are the yields so much better and where is that coming from?
Yeah.
So let's start with the first. Wall Street has been doing high frequency trading for years, right? It's very normal to see Goldman Sachs employ software engineers to write algorithms that trade based on what they see in the markets, based on what they see in the news, stuff like that. But that's been inaccessible to the general investing public because they don't have APIs they can hook up against, and often they don't have the sophistication to write their own code. But trading is not complicated software. It's the kind of software that an early software engineer, early in their career, can write and then just troubleshoot as it goes, instead of needing, someone with 10 years experience who can write, perfect C or perfect Java. You don't need that, right? Trading bots can be written with any scripting language, and they can be debugged as you go. And so, given that, using AI to make trading decisions, using AI to place trades, using AI to coordinate with wallets and APIs is becoming very popular because it democratizes the tools that Wall Street always had, that individuals are just starting to get now. And so being able to automatically trade on a news signal or automatically trade on a price movement is tremendously empowering and will do nothing but increase liquidity for everyone. And it'll decrease the cost of trading. It'll make sure things get priced in faster. It'll help allocators. It's better for everyone. The second question is, as institutions like Robinhood start plugging into crypto markets, and as institutions like Coinbase start opening up to broader capital markets, how is that integration going to work? And this is where I think, again, the current administration is just showing a tremendous amount of leadership, both in passing very clear rules about when is a firm regulated how as they deal with cryptocurrencies, but also, and I think this is just as important, you're seeing guidance from the SEC and the CFTC and the banking regulators saying that if you have a regulated business and also you buy crypto, sell crypto, hold crypto, and lend against it, that's okay. That there is nothing inherently threatening by doing business with crypto just because you also happen to own a regulated business. And that's cleared the way for broker dealers to be able to deal directly with stables and even Bitcoin and Ethereum. It's cleared the way for financial institutions to start considering crypto capital as assets that they can use in lending decisions. It's cleared the way for more sophisticated custody arrangements, which I think will lead to eventually seeing actual cryptocurrencies in trusts and insurance policies and not just the ETPs. And just overall, I think you're going to see cryptocurrencies financialized just like every other asset, and then every other asset tokenized and trade 24/7, 365 globally with AI trading bots, just like cryptocurrencies. And then the third you asked about is yield. And unfortunately, that one I'm less bullish on. Everybody's yield is somebody else's interest payment or risk.
Mhm.
And that's just what yield is and where it comes from. So either as crypto markets become more liquid, yields will come down as there's intense competition, both for providing the capital and for using it. And you'll get yields kind of that'll align more with kind of mainstream sources of yield like mortgages, or they won't, and it's because these platforms will remain very risky. In which case, you'll continue to see stories about defaults and about haircuts, and like you see with exchange failures, like you saw with BlockFi, right? And
Yes.
so I think that for the sake of our industry and for the sake of the retail users that play with cryptocurrency and use them for serious work and use them as savings and transfer and investment instruments, um, I very much hope that the yields come down in a way that converges with debt markets. Because if it doesn't, it says very bad things about the risk in the space, and people are going to get hurt.
Yeah, that's a great point. It never related those two together as importantly as you did right there. I just thought great use because I'm on a retail side, no, not so much on the borrowing side, but there's always someone on the other, and you're absolutely correct. Well, right, it's been amazing to have you on and sharing what your thoughts are on the macros. What's next for Vex, and where can people find you?
Yeah, so people can sign up on Vex.trade. We're hoping to start auctions very soon and auction 250 companies a year and really just tokenize everything. The long-term play that we're even more excited about is we're working on governance markets. And so when you put your stock in an ETF, the simplest thing you can do is give people units of that ETF and they fractionally own that stock. But there are more interesting things you can do. For example, you put stock in an ETF and then you split the unit, into not an ETF, an SPV, and then you split the units into these half of the units are worth a proportional share if the company has an up round before New Year's, and these units are worth a proportional share if the company doesn't. Or these units are worth a proportional share if the company has a merger before New Year's. Or these units are worth a proportional share if the company doesn't. My particular favorite is these units are worth a proportional share if the company replaces their CEO before New Year's,
Mhm.
or these units are worth a proportional share if they don't, calling that keep or can. So what's nice about these instruments is private market investors usually get no say in governance,
Yeah.
right? The management are also majority shareholders. The venture capitalists get special deals that the employees and angel investors don't get, and it's just very clubby and very indirect. So when you have an opinion like, listen, I'd really love to invest in this company, but I think they're undercapitalized. I'd like to see them raise more capital. Or listen, I'd like to invest in this company, but I'm afraid of being diluted by too big of a round. Or I'd like to invest in this company, but I think the CEO has got it wrong and needs to be replaced, like a Cracker Barrel type thing. In all of those cases, in public markets, you have real mechanisms to make your voice heard and to invest in alongside your strategy. By bringing governance markets to private companies, what we hope to do is to be able to make those conditional investment opportunities available in a way that will send a very powerful signal to management and to the board that there are investors that are interested in particular outcomes and that the board has a fiduciary duty to consider those outcomes. especially if you get strange situations like the like canning the CEO trades over keeping the CEO, which we think will be rare but very notable whenever it happens.
Yeah.
Likewise, situations where merger selling the company in a merger trades over keeping it independent. We think that'll be rare and very notable when it happens.
Yeah, very important notes. Something to educate an average investor like myself, the underbellies, the underworkings of what happens in private markets, and how that transitions with new investors and rounds, and it would just be very educational in general. Yeah, I would personally love to see that just as a use case for myself. As these markets get open to everyone, right? If it does get open, like Trump wants, it's going to be great, but it's also going to be bad when people get into some bad investments that they don't want to get into. So it's very interesting to see, and it can be transparent too around the blockchain. We can see what people's voting for. Maybe you can hide that or obfuscate that if you don't want people to see it. But yeah, that's a very interesting look into what you're offering there. So can't wait to see beta open up in Q4 and 250 opportunities. We're gonna have a lot. We're gonna have to bring you back to share feedback on all of those.
Absolutely. Well, you watch these shows on CNBC and Bloomberg, and they talk about, what are the big movers, what's up and what's down. But we can't do that in Silicon Valley because everything is priced just every other year when they do a venture round, and it doesn't really happen otherwise. I think it'll be really exciting, just the media opportunities, being able to talk about what are the big movers among private companies, what's up, what's down, how does that relate to the market, how does that relate to the news, and especially governance decisions.
Yeah, I'm surprised someone hasn't done that already. I'm in San Francisco. Someone yesterday just created an app to track a parking ticket cops. I'm not sure if you saw that all over the news.
I did.
Yeah, come on, guys, get on this. So we're having an AI agent do it. Ryan, it's been amazing. How can people find you besides Vex? Do you have a personal X that you want to disclose?
Yeah, Ryan_Singer.
Awesome. Perfect, Ryan. We would love to have you back, and we'll bring you back when you have those opportunities for us to talk about.
Great. Looking forward to it.